So down in Colombia, a communist by the name of Gustavo Petro won the presidential election, and he's openly communist. He wants to spread the wealth around. He wants to use the government to make everyone equally as miserable, to essentially take private property away from people who have earned it and give it to other people who haven't earned it. The hallmark of a socialist and a communist. He wants to prioritize climate change. And what's funny is the backdrop of what's happening in Colombia is the government's fault, right? These politicians oftentimes like to blame the economic devastation that we're facing, whether it's inflation, whether it's the job market, gas prices. They like to blame this on the pandemic. The once-in-a-century pandemic is the favorite phrase of the Biden administration right now. But it wasn't the virus itself, the pathogen, that caused these economic problems. It was the government policies, the lockdowns, and, well, the lockdowns, really. The lockdowns and the mandates that caused the economic devastation. It wasn't the virus that told us we had to close our businesses down. It wasn't the virus that said 6 feet, so you have to separate 6 feet, and you have to put plexiglass up, and your restaurant's going to have to close because we can't have people taking their masks off around each other. This was all government induced. These policies that were forced on us by the radical left created this situation where people are so desperate in these economic situations that we're in, that the entire competition for the president of this country came down to who's going to best address people's lack of a job, and the fact that wages are rising but slower than inflation. So actually your paycheck is shrinking, and gas prices are so expensive that it's awful. That is awful. So this is the backdrop, and it's really striking, I think, to see that a problem that was created by the left, meaning the economic devastation that we're in, which is a result of the policies, the COVID policies by the left, created a situation that basically invites communists to succeed. And so this is the backdrop. In addition to that, the social climate of Latin America was traditionally very Catholic. These were all Catholic nations, from Mexico to Argentina to Peru to Chile to Colombia. These are very Catholic nations, and socially, that carried over into social issues, whether it was abortion, whether it was gay marriage, whether it was euthanasia. But in recent history, this Catholicism, at least at the state level in these governments, has been supplanted by radical leftism. It's almost like what's happening in Colombia right now is the inverse of the American century, that they are turning back the developments that we have achieved and that we've exported around the world, and going backwards. And Venezuela is a perfect example of that, and we'll get to that in a minute. But this feminism that the left has been preaching to us in the United States for decades has seeped into Latin America. Abortion has become legal in nations like Mexico and Argentina and Colombia. Gay marriage has become legal in Chile. Euthanasia is legal in Colombia. And so you see this radical leftism, this ideology seeping into a place that for a long time had a social fabric that was Catholic, that was conservative. Colombia actually was one of our primary conservative allies in Latin America. And all of a sudden, we see someone elected down there who's to the left of Joe Biden, or at least to the left of where Joe Biden tells us that he is, but maybe not to the left of the people that Joe Biden surrounds himself with.